Well, Taylor, you're on the other side of the social media channel this time doing another podcast. You have become quite the TikTok star.
I guess so. I mean, I don't claim myself as TikTok famous or anything like that, but I've been trying, I guess.
Well, it's pretty fun. I mean, my first week I put my TikTok up. I wasn't going to do it, and there was a lot of realtors that were using it trying to get leads.
Yeah.
And I sunk a houseboat a couple of years ago. And so
I vaguely heard about that.
That was me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it went viral. I had 150 million views on Facebook, so it went huge. I mean, just crazy viral. Yeah, it was wild. And so I took that content, I put it on my TikTok, and I had a dude doing it for me. And he broke it up into like 4 or 5 videos. Mm-hmm. And my first week I'm on TikTok, I had a bigger following than any other platform. I had 100,000 people following me, and I had a couple million, like almost 100 million views total on these videos. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing TikTok now.
So are you on you have your podcast, and then do you have a whole different page?
Yeah, so I keep everything just my own. So like now, the way people brand now is you are your own brand, right? I mean, you are, and I am. And so I just put everything on the same as Jimmy Rex is my brand.
Okay.
And then everything I do, my podcast, my coaching group, my real estate, all comes from my own personal branding.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. How did you get started?
I got on it during quarantine. I feel like when majority of people got on it because we were all bored. I actually was never for it. I'm like, TikTok, no thank you. Was bored, got on it. My first video I posted went viral, so then that's kind of like, okay, like that's kind of cool.
It's kind of fun, right? You're like, okay.
Like you said, your first one, you're like, okay, I want to do this, you know, let's do it. So I continued to do it. I started very slow, just posted here and there, and then hair for me, like people wanted to know about hair, so a lot of those like blew up, and then baby stuff, and then just kept going with it. And then I made a joke one time about being 50, right? I was like, these are my daughters, I'm 50, and it blew up. And I was like, in my head, that was so far off of blowing, like, I'm like, no one's gonna believe that. It's so dumb.
Well, and by the way, for the record, you're 27?
27, okay. Yes, yeah. I've said it plenty of times, but people still, I was at Disneyland, and they're like, they saw the 2 blonde girls come home around, and they're like, where's your mom? Is she here? And they're like shocked. They're like, she's right here. And I was right there. And I was like, guys, really? I was really insulted, but so they believe it, which is like so far out. So then I just started making all this stuff up. Like, if you're going to believe that, what else are you going to believe, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing really, though, like our separate bedrooms is true, which I don't know if people believe that at this point because they're like, she lies about everything. It's not true.
That's hilarious. Well, it's when you're doing, and by the way, it's a game, right? Like for me, so when I had somebody else making my posts for the first like month and a half, but he kept doing things to get attention of people on TikTok, but I didn't like it. So for example, I dive with sharks a lot. I love to go dive with great whites and tiger sharks, the whole bit. And I had a video of me swimming with a tiger shark, and he put me swimming with a bull shark or something like that. And he did it so that people would comment and say, no, that's a tiger shark. He's like, no, I do it for the engagement. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, but I look like an idiot. Like, you're making me look stupid.
That's what it comes with.
Yeah. So I was like, hold on a second. I'm like, we're going to revamp that. But so a lot of my first videos, you could say, quote unquote, I was lying, or it looked like I was doing something. He was the one doing it. And eventually I kind of was like, okay, but you do have to get people to engage. For sure. And you have to stand out. You got to do something funny. The fact that people thought you were 50 is kind of hilarious.
I know. And insulting, but yes, mostly hilarious.
Because in person too, I mean, you definitely look your age, 27 years old.
Thanks.
I guess on TikTok you can try to, and you have a really nice house. You have like some things that go in your face. So maybe they just assume because you're younger you couldn't have that, so they assume you're a little older.
We can go with that one. Really, we want to.
What do people say? Because they DM you and stuff, I'm sure, right? They send you messages.
Yeah, a lot of them in the beginning were like, even like blue check mark, like famous people are like, what is your skincare routine? Come on, like, what are your secrets? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Ton of skincare brands wanted to work with me, obviously, because they're like thinking I'm staying young.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many different DMs at that time of like, it was just, how old are you? Is this your age? How sort of thing. I had a friend that reached out. She's like, my dad wants to take you on a date. He went to her and was like, this girl's like 50, but like, look at her. I want to take her out. And they're here in Utah. And she's like,
you're married?
I don't know if he knew that at the time. Far into it. Yeah. And my friend was like, that's my friend. And she's not 50. And it's so funny. I wonder how many people out there like really believed it. And I think
what
so.
I love is you just played with it. Like you just kind of ran with it. Because one of the things that I try to tell people in life is it's in my mission statement for my life, one of the key values that I have in there is playful. And I think it's what makes your page so fun, because a woman, when she's being playful, is in her feminine. And, you know, it's very difficult to be upset or stressed and all these other things when you're being playful. And so I try to always be playful. And I tell women, I'm like, look, if you want to get back into your feminine, because a lot of women aren't, get into a playful state. And so one thing I love about your TikTok, and I watched a lot of them as I prepped for this interview, you're just super playful. You're just having fun. And that's what I love about it. I think that's what makes it so attractive. Because so many women want to do what you're doing on your TikTok. They want to let themselves be free. They want to just get into their body and dance and laugh at themselves and make jokes, right?
Yeah, it's fun. You get dragged through the mud for it, I feel like. At least I do. Like all over. You
got to have thick skin to be blown up on Instagram or TikTok or any of them.
I don't get offended anymore. I'm like, it's like I mostly have gotten hate on my page, and I'm like, nothing new. I've seen it. I don't care. Like, that's fine. And then even moms, like I saw a TikTok today, and it was like, this is a different side of mom talk, and it's like a whole bunch of like moms like eating and in sweats and stuff, and I'm like, that's awesome. Like I do that too, but don't bring us down for wanting to get ready and look good. Like that doesn't make us any less of a mom. So we get a lot of that side too, where it's like, they're not real moms. It's like, no, we are. We just get ready. Like we're not any less of a mom.
Well, but that's why I want to have you on the podcast. I actually think it's so important what you're doing, because so I coach men. I mean, I help men get, into their masculine, lead with their masculine, to be able to, but also be able to be into their feelings and work through shit and all these different things. But one of the things that as we talk to these men, as I get to know all them, one of the things that every man wants, I just know this from my friends too, is they want a woman that is polarization of the masculine. You want to be in your feminine. And some of that is getting ready. It's dolling yourself up. It's having fun. It's dancing. And then you do it with even another twist, being here in Utah, which is the Mormon side. And this is what me and my friends, so I got sent one of your videos, and it's you and like 8 other girls. And I think it says, you can help me with it, but it was like, why do moms have so many kids in Utah?
Yeah.
And then you play the song, I Want to Ride or whatever, right?
I'm just thinking with my D. I don't know if I can say that on here.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah, it's hilarious. And I saw it, and me and my buddies, we were dying. We're like, this girl is so funny. We love it.
Really? I'm glad.
And here's the reason why is because, well, and one of the problems that we have in society in Utah especially is there's this weird culture around sexuality. And, whether you're in the church, not in the church, never been in the church, like in Utah, there's some really weird things around sexuality, to the point they have different laws in this state than other states. And there's almost this shame culture around it, even for married women. And so for a lot of women, it's hard to be able to be in that playful state, to be in that sexual state. And when you're free and you're feminine, you're in that sexual energy, like it's a beautiful energy, especially all husbands want it. Every husband wants their wife to be there. So every woman that goes, that's not real mom TikTok. Well, those women need to know that their husbands are dying to get them to do what you're doing. Right?
Yeah.
And so I just think it's a really important role that you're playing to help moms. I mean, you're all married. It's not like you're out there whoring around. You're literally just saying like, yeah, my husband's going to get his tonight. And I freaking love it. Like for women need to know that message. Guys need to know that message. And so I think it's really awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun to do that, and some of it's like, satire and so far out, and some of it's actually true and how we feel, and it's human, and I've talked about this with my friends and even my husband. It's like, especially being married for after almost 7 years, it's called like the 7-year itch, where things get a little, stagnant, mundane, and so it's like, gotta mix things up. And me and my friends have talked out loud about it, and it's nice to like relate with people, because it's like a very taboo conversation. No one wants to really admit that. Like they have certain desires, they want to do stuff, or things are kind of boring, and it's like, that's okay. It's whether what you do with it, really. It's not a bad thing though. It's human, and people don't talk about it. Like girls really, they're not going to come out and say, I'm so bored, I desire this, right? No one's going to really say that, but we all feel it. So whether you admit it or not, and it's, I think, normal. And as like being married, it's up to you, like how you want to do that and work on things. But I wish people talked more about that.
Well, in communication is the number one thing that in a sexual relationship, you need to be able to communicate what your desires are, what your needs are, without fear of rejection, without fear of judgment, without shame that's attached to it, right?
Yeah.
And we've come a long ways in Utah from the point of where they used to ask you for a temple recommend, you had to say that you weren't doing oral sex. Like
really?
That's how it was back in the, that would be back in the day. I mean, it was crazy stuff. And sex with the garments on and the whole thing, right?
I was never married in the temple, so I don't know certain details.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, and that's my point. I'm like, God bless these people that are trying to create a sexual life that way, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think, it's a subject that I talk openly on my podcast about it with different types of people as well, because anything brought out of darkness no longer, when it doesn't have that shame in that, because we all have our shadow self. We all have that, right? Sure. We all have that side that just wants to explore sexuality and some of these other things. And if you can't openly talk about it, what happens where you see people go south, or you see people really, unfortunately destroy their own lives, is they don't have an outlet. They don't have a safe place to maybe explore those possibilities. I just tell one of my buddies, he said that, his wife used to be very shy about masturbating in front of him, and I'm just gonna go there. I don't.
Yeah, go for it.
Podcast.
I love it.
But and I was, and I said, well, what is it about that? And it drove him nuts because he wanted her to be sexual like that, and she had that culture where it was just you didn't do that. It was like there was this weird shame around anything that was that sexual. Yeah. And I said, dude, if your wife isn't your safe place, if that's not where you guys can be completely vulnerable, then what's it even for? Like, why even go there? You know. And so I personally am trying to help kill the stigma around, especially with married couples. Like, you need to have a very open, communicative relationship where you can talk about, not open in the sense that you're letting other people in, but open in the sense that you're talking about what it is you want, what you desire, and how you go about that. Yeah. And we're kind of getting in, like, I guess more recently, we've been very open with each other, which has really, really helped. And it is a safe place. I don't judge him, and he doesn't judge me, which is really good. And it's needed because, like I said, he also listens. I don't know if you've ever heard Matthew McConaughey say, we all have like a good wolf and a bad wolf. And it's up to us what we want to feed, really. So it doesn't matter, like, if we're having these thoughts, I think people feel like horrible, right? For feeling this way or wanting this and wanting that. But it's not. It's human. What we do about it is more what tells, so we've been, I don't know, learning that, and same thing like what you were saying with your friend, and more sexually, like being open, and that's something I've had to learn over time. And he's like, I only get you and one of you, so we need to do whatever it is that he needed, and we've been very open, so it's been healthy. Well, one of the 6 human needs is variety, and so if you can't figure out how to get that with your one person, a lot of people make huge mistakes and end up trying to find it through multiple people, right? And things like that. Well, what's funny to me is how triggering you are to a lot of these Mormon women. Yeah, you are triggering the shit out of people. They either love me or they hate me because they feel the same way. Yeah, they love you, the ones that are being honest. But it's a mirror. What you do is you put a mirror up and you say, look, this is what you can do. And they're like, you can't do that. I read the comments. I was dying. Like, we've sent we have these group threads with my buddies, and we've sent 4 or 5 of your videos, and we're just laughing our asses off. And it's even funnier for you to read the comments because they're so triggered by it. Oh, yeah. They get so mad. And I'm like reading them like, oh, well. Yeah. Like, to the point that they're like, is she even really Mormon? I am. I'm obviously not the most, I don't follow the rules, but I guess even Mormon or not, I would want some type of church. I don't know. Helps my soul. It makes me feel good. And the Mormon church, actually, there's some things I obviously question and don't agree with. But overall, it's the foundation of it, love, family, service. And when I go, I feel good. If I didn't, I wouldn't go. And so that's why I've stuck with it. But do I follow the rules? Obviously not. Well, what I love about that is, I have a friend, her name's Lindsay Hansen Park, and she has the podcast, Year of Polygamy. She's been on my podcast a couple times. She's hundreds, tens of millions of downloads on her podcast now. But what she talks about, she says there's many, many ways to Mormon. And what me and my friends have tried to do is, there's always been in Utah, you got the Mormons and the non-Mormons. We've tried to create this safe place in the middle where it doesn't matter. It doesn't come up in conversation. You don't even care if they are or they're not. Yeah. You're just kind of like, hey, take what works for you. And if that's working, awesome. Like, I love that you said, it makes me feel good, so I go. Yeah. But the stuff that you don't necessarily agree with or do, you're like, I don't have to take all of this. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. No, I was going to say, I think it's a beautiful way to look at it. And it's, at the end of the day, it's me being judged, not you. Not that person. So they're like, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm like, I absolutely can. Will I get judged for it later? Probably. That's not your concern. So I'm like, I don't know why they get so triggered. I think God appreciates it too. I really do. I like to think so. My buddy asked me, he goes, you seem to be really easy on yourself. How do you get over because I make plenty of mistakes, but I really am, I give myself a lot of grace. And I said, I think God, I picture him up there just laughing his ass off at me. I think he's like, look at this damn one, Jimmy. Like, you're not going to believe what this sucker did today.
Yeah.
You know? And if he can laugh, then I can laugh. And then it's like, that's how I picture my God, though. Like, to me, he's just such if he's all knowing and all loving, then he's going to love. And I guarantee you, God loves your TikTok videos.
Oh, no, I don't know about that one.
No, I'm throwing it out there.
I
want people to look at it differently, because you can look at it and be like, she's not fitting the mold, or she's not doing, but when people need you to show up a certain way in their life, careful about those people. Because if you're fitting it, you're really owning like who you are, and you're saying, I don't care. Like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And God bless you for it.
Yeah. It's scary. And not everyone can do that. I mean, I guess like surrounding my friends, like they're just things like, I just don't care. And if you want to judge me, and my parents, same thing. I'm sure they're not happy about a lot of my TikToks, and it's just like, I actually like.
Do they say anything to you?
They were very upset about my swinger talk the other day. Yeah, they're like, if you're doing this and you're saying this, and all these Mormon girls that look up to you are gonna think that this is okay, even though it's a joke. They look up to you, and so they weren't happy about it. And I don't know. I'm like, everything is just so satire on my page. Why is this? Well,
I had some people mad at me. I talk openly. I'm very into psychedelics and plant medicines and stuff like that. It's helped a lot of my friends and myself, like more than anything I've ever done, to be honest. And so I talk about it a lot. And I had, somebody very close to me was upset. He's like, dude, if you're going to be a role model to my kids, like, how are you going to talk about doing drugs on your podcast? And I'm like, well, you've never bothered to ask me about it, or to sit down and like get my point of why I'm doing it and everything. It's not, I don't see it as drugs. I see it as medicine. But, and it's ultimately, though, I said, I don't care. I know what I'm doing. I know how many people it's helping. And so if it does upset some people, I mean, anybody doing anything in life, you're going to upset a lot of people. When you have 110 million likes on your videos, 3 million followers on TikTok, you're going to have a lot of people upset at you no matter what. And you've got to have thick skin to be able to do it. Otherwise, you start to mold to what they want you to be, and you would lose what makes you special.
Yeah, and it's been actually hard. There's certain things they've said, and like I like sit there and think about it. I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that, or maybe I shouldn't do that, or maybe I shouldn't look like, even just simple as hair. Like, you should do this, you should do that, and you like sit there and like you kind of think, and I'm like, no, like not doing that. You can't please anybody doing anything. Yeah. And I actually liked one of your podcasts. It was the one where you like, when you became your own man, and you were talking about your dad, and you kind of just like put things aside, and no one was over you, so you could do whatever you want. That is that's what I feel that I am at the place now, where no one is over me, and I don't owe anyone anything, so I can be exactly who I want. And I loved that, and it was relatable when I was listening to your podcast.
Yeah, it's like, well, be you. Everybody else is taken. Yeah. I mean, honestly, and I've had somebody come up to me before. We were, it was a pretty vulnerable situation, and he was being honest, and he goes, hey man, I used to think you were the biggest asshole. And I was like, oh, all right. Yeah. He goes, can I tell you why? I'm like, sure. He goes, it was a reflection on myself. He goes, I could tell that you truly didn't care like about other people's opinions. You were doing what you wanted to do. He goes, and I've never been able to do that. And so I despised you for it. And I was like, well, if I'm being honest, of course I care, or I'm a human. I'm not a cyborg over here, but I don't care to the point that I'm going to change who I am. Like, I know who I am, and so I'm willing to do that. But I was like, that was eye-opening to me, because I've kind of always been that way, just kind of do what I want to do. Yeah. And because I've seen the rewards that come from that, right? Yeah. When you first blew up on TikTok, I mean, how did you take the backlash or the hate? Because it's tricky. When it first happens, you're like, damn, dude, there's some people who really hate me out there.
Oh, yeah, I would get like sick. Like, there was one that blew up, and it was a joke. It was a bad joke, probably.
Well, I want to hear this bad joke.
It's so bad. So I saw another girl do it, so I basically just copied her and twisted it to my own. She was like telling her daughter, she's like, you're gonna go to a new mommy, like it's so sad you're gonna go to a new mommy. And so I was like, that's freaking funny. And hers blew up, so I was like, I'm gonna do that.
Never mind the trauma that your daughter's gonna have in the therapy, but that is funny.
Well, she literally, she like knew it was a joke, and I was telling her, I was like, Indy, you get to go to your other mommy, I'm so sorry. And she's like, no mom, I love you. And so it blew up, but the comments were absurd. It was the meanest thing I could do. It was traumatizing, and that to me, it was like, I was sick the whole night. I was like, I just messed up. I'm going to get canceled like literally tonight. So I turned off the comments. I let the video still play, because I was like, oh, well, like it was a joke. And I literally got it from another girl, which didn't get crap for it. So I was like so shocked that I was, but that was when I was like really, I regretted, and I've learned from that one. But everything else, looks, I've just like physically, I've like accepted. This is why I like don't care, because I've accepted what I do and do not have. Yeah. And so when they're like, you're an A cup, I'm like, thank you. Tell me something I don't know, or just like
guys or women that come at you physically like
both.
that? Really?
Yeah. And a lot of hidden accounts, so I don't know. Like it's those users.
That's the thing that I always like. If it's not somebody, if somebody's not going to put their own name on it, they don't deserve like.
Yeah. Let's see what you look like. That's what I want to say.
I had to come up with a rule start coming into 2022 because in good faith. So I got invited to be at this speakers conference called AlphaCon. Okay. I did not know it was called AlphaCon. My buddy was like, "Will you speak at my entrepreneur event?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." Next thing I know, there's 10 white dudes on a flyer and it says AlphaCon, and I was like, oh shit. Like this dude he's 26 and he was trying to get all the people he knew that would bring in the biggest audience. Yeah. And they happened to be his buddies. We're in Utah. Most people are white and the people he knew happened to be white. Yeah. It looked awful though. I mean, I saw it and I was mortified. I'm like, oh geez. So I hurried and called him and I was like, hey, I got some buddies you need to add to the to the list. I sent him some friends, and just add some diversity to it. Mm-hmm. But I started getting just destroyed online. Everybody's coming and says, oh, Jimmy Rex would do that. I'm just like, what the hell? And I was just kind of like, this isn't even my thing. Like, I have nothing to do with this. I'm speaking at an event. I speak 25 times a year. But what surprised me was I responded to a couple people in good faith. And I was like, hey, because the guy throwing the event was bullied in high school. And I know this. I know his story. I had him on my podcast. Mm-hmm. I said, hey, you're kind of being rude online. Like, just some perspective. This dude's been bullied. And it's really like, and I kind of tried to expel it. I was like, I'm sure that you mean like no harm. It's just funny or whatever. Yeah. And they twisted it and they come at you. And I was like, damn, you can't feed the trolls. Mm-mm. And so I made a rule coming in 2022. That was like right at the end of last year. Yeah. I said, no matter what somebody says to me, I'm not going to respond to them. Like, they don't deserve my time and energy. And so I haven't responded to a single troll this entire year. Wow. And if anyone comes at me, I just block them. I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. If somebody came in my house, people know, like, I'm a positive guy. If you walk in and you're all negative and you're talking about bullshit, you're gone. Like, you're not good. So why would I let you stick around on my page? I'm just like, no, you're blocked. I don't even know who you are.
Well, with that, I have to keep them because they stir the pot for me.
Oh, that is good for you.
They go in, and then the nice people go in, and then they all fight. So that's what creates your video to go viral.
Yeah, okay.
So unfortunately, if it really, really bugs me or it's like inappropriate with kids, I'll definitely delete and block. But other than that, I'm like, please.
Well, I haven't blocked anyone on TikTok. I block them on Twitter because I'm not as big on Twitter. It's like, I don't want you commenting on every damn post I make. This is for me to just share my thoughts.
And you will have those like fans/haters that will post on literally everything. It's like, you're obsessed.
I call them confused fans because they don't know it, but they're fans.
Yeah, they are. Like they're every video. I have some of those people and I'm like, why are you here? But you're helping my engagement, so I'll keep you here.
Yeah, I put a video up on my TikTok where I had a renter that wouldn't pay the rent, and she had done it on purpose. She moved in under this guy's that her mom lived there, and she didn't. And I was being nice. I let her move in over Thanksgiving weekend without the deposit because she was begging me to get in for Thanksgiving. And then when she didn't pay her rent, she didn't pay again in December, and so I had to kick her out. And I was like, hey. This is like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I was like, hey, you got to leave if you're not going to pay January rent. And she goes, I know the system. You can't get me out for 9 months. And I was like, oh, hell no. And so I'm telling the story on my TikTok. Yeah. And so I had a guy that owed me some favors, and I had him go over and kick the door in. Took the door right off the hinges, January in Utah, pretty cold. Yeah. And I texted her and I just said, you're welcome to stay, but you don't have a door anymore. And so I told that story on my TikTok. It's hilarious, right? And every other person thought I was the greatest landlord ever or the worst human ever. Yeah. But they're all fighting. And it's one of my most viral videos. I think it had like 1 million views because everybody's just going back and forth at each other. And so I get your point. Like anything that's a little controversial.
That's the best. That's my goal on pretty much every video is to get some type of stir up from someone. But it's usually in the middle. I'm very careful. There's a fine line. Because you can go a little too much where everyone will hate you.
Yeah. You don't want to be the villain.
Yeah, and you can play it too safe where it's not gonna. Yeah. And I've had to learn. I still am learning on that. But I try to play a very safe line with that because you could get canceled. Yeah,
I love when you play the Mormon ones. Just kill me. You got to do more of those. I think they're so funny.
Oh, the moms. I am like. I just know.
Do they know that what you're going to say before you post it?
Some of the times, but I always warn them. Look, if you don't feel comfortable, you know my content. They all know my content by now. Yeah. If you don't feel comfortable being in it, I'm not going to make you. Don't be in it. If you don't care, then come on in.
This could be anything.
I did have some people tell me not to do the priesthood one. They were like, don't do it. And I was like, I'm going to do it. Like, sorry.
And that was when he has the priesthood and the song was, I Want to Ride, right?
Yes. Yes, when he has, there's something attractive about it. And that's true. Like, I think a man in a suit and going to church, there's something hot about it. But
Is your leaders in the church, have they called you in or talked to you about it at all?
They have not, which I'm
Has people
shocked.
tried to turn you in, do you know?
No.
They haven't mentioned to you at all?
No, not that I know of. My cousin is the bishop, so
that helps.
I'm like, if he called me on, it's gonna be real awkward, really. But he hasn't, so I don't know if I've done anything wrong. I'm always scared for like general conference, like they bring up TikTok, mom talk or something. I'm like so scared every time. I'm like, okay.
That is so funny.
Maybe it hasn't gone to them yet.
Yeah, they got better things to worry about than TikTok, maybe. One of the things that you had kind of controversial was there was like a ghost in your house.
Yes.
Is there actually a ghost in your house, or was that one other one that was just kind of for fun to get people talking?
My house is very creepy.
Is it?
let's just say it's very, very creepy.
What happened? What makes it creepy?
Just a lot of creepy things that happen that I don't want to give away.
Don't give it away then.
Okay.
It could be haunted.
It could be.
Fair enough.
It's not haunted, but it's creepy. Creepy things happen.
That's fair. Yeah, creepy and haunted is two things. So I got to tell you about a haunted house I found one time. Okay. So I flip homes. Right. And we were buying this house. And when you're buying the house, it goes to the auction. This was back in like 2010. And we were buying this house in West Valley. It's like clear out in the ghetto. Mm-hmm. And it was going to the auction the next morning. We hadn't looked at it yet. So the game is like, you know how much they're going to put the house up for auction, and you know how much you can sell it for fixed up. So you got to get in the house to see how much work you got to do on it. And so that site inspection is really important. We hadn't been through this one yet, but we wanted to bid on it because it looked like it was going to be a really good one. And so it was like getting very close to dark. It was probably March or February, so it was like 6 o'clock, and I was like, man, I can still make the house, but I never like to go to the foreclosures when it's dark because you can find homeless people in it. People can be doing drugs in it. Like, it's scary,
Yeah.
And anyways, we knew it was vacant, so I hurry out there. And right when I got to the front door, I swear on my life, I had the creepiest feeling. Like, Jimmy, don't go in the house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to go see this house. Like, we're bidding on it in the morning. If I have to call my partner and say I got a bad feeling, he's going to fire me. I was like, So I go in the house. And I go to turn the lights on, nothing's working. So I go through the upstairs, and it's still got a little bit of light out. So I'm kind of looking through the upstairs quick, and had the weirdest feeling in the kitchen, like horrible feeling. I'm not lying here.
Yeah, I believe you.
I go downstairs, and just out of habit, I go to hit the light switch, and it comes on in this bedroom. Mm-hmm. And in the bedroom, I look up, and on the wall, there's like 7 little kids' socks pinned on the wall. I don't know what the hell that meant, but it's creepy as all could be, right?
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, now I got the heebie-jeebies. And so then I go into the bathroom, the light comes on, and written, I actually have pictures of it on my Facebook, written in little kid handwriting, it says, "There is a ghost lives in the kitchen, run." I'm like, and it was in a little kid's handwriting on the bathroom wall. I looked like the pizza delivery guy on Home Alone. I was stumbling out of that house so fast.
That is so creepy.
It was creepy. It was definitely haunted. There was definitely a ghost in the house. We definitely bought it and flipped it and made some money, but we did.
Yeah, did you tell them or no?
Hell no. I had no proof it was haunted.
I guess it's true. You don't have to. I do know, like, if someone's murdered, correct?
Murdered, yeah. And I think if it's known, like, that was just, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, right?
Yeah.
We bought another one on Jefferson Street downtown, I never forget. And we went into the basement, and this house was like demolished. And it was those creepy basements in like 1920 houses that are just not quite tall enough, and it's like dirt up on the sides. It was that, and there was a TV from The Ring. It looked just like it in the middle of the room, just sitting there. I'm like, hell no, I am out of here. I remembered the other house, but
no, thank you.
So there's haunted houses.
There are, and people love that type of stuff, is what I've learned, actually.
That's hilarious. What was the video that really popped you off, that got you going the most?
My biggest video is definitely, what got me going was hair. A lot of hair. That people want to know how I got my hair long. That's how it started, and then. I would say being a grandma, 50.
Oh, really?
That's my biggest video. I think it's like at 80 million views.
People trying to figure out if you're actually a grandma.
And they believed it. And then the other 2 popped their babies out, and we had the babies. And so I was like, I'm officially a grandma now. And that one popped off as well.
She's messing with people.
Yeah, it is. It's just crazy. There are people that genuinely believe it. They believe pretty much. You have half that believe everything I say, and half that are smarter than that.
Yeah, they're in on the joke.
Yeah. And so when I post crazy, like today I posted one, and it was like, do you believe in monogamy? And I was like, yes. I want to say yes, but it's just ew. So I did that one today. So I'm sure that one I'll get lots of hate for as well. But that one's another, you're going to have people that also agree, and you're going to have people that highly disagree. Same thing with the bedrooms,
Yeah.
they think it's healthy and not healthy.
Yeah, so you've gone viral because another thing is you and your husband sleep in separate bedrooms.
Yes,
and that's a real thing.
That's very true.
It's interesting. I watched your videos about it. It is interesting because you guys, I love the one that you showed your bedroom and then his. His so looks bad. Like a college dorm.
Oh my gosh, it's
like
really.
The carpet looks dirtier, the bed looks dirtier. Yep. It's like the lighting's all off.
Yep, it's so bad. Everyone was like, I understand now why you sleep in separate rooms.
It actually makes a little bit. I like to cuddle to sleep, so like I would want somebody in the bed, I guess.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of people that like that.
Right, yeah. Right. But if you don't, there's a lot of people that don't.
Yeah, and I'm one of them.
Yeah, so if you don't, then it's like, yeah, do your thing and then go to your separate bedrooms, right?
Yeah, it's exactly how it is, and we it was more like on accident. I don't know if you like listened to my story.
No, so how did you figure out that was a positive thing?
It's actually embarrassing for him. Sorry, Tate, when he listens to this, but he would be like in our room looking for a shirt. And then he would go look for the shirt elsewhere and just never come back. Like, it would be morning. I was like, he never came back from looking for a shirt. So that would be his excuse, like, get out of the room and just not come back. And then the next night he was doing it again. He had to look for something. And I was like, what are you doing? I was like, stop looking for it. I was like, go sleep in the guest room where you really want to be and you don't have to.
He just didn't want to be, because you guys have different sleeping habits, right? Like the temperature, you said that he likes white noise, you don't, like all sorts of things, right?
Yeah, but he was like using like something like to get out of the room and not come back, like an excuse. And so that was on the news as well. So I'm like, oh, that's embarrassing, like the shirt thing. And so that's how it started. And then it just ended up, we liked it. And so we're like, okay, like you stay in your room, I'll stay in mine. And I feel like it's healthy if you have that like communication and the intimacy with it. If you're not, then you're probably just roommates. And we've definitely been there too. Are you married?
I'm not single,
You're not?
No.
Okay. But yeah, like we've had times where you do feel like roommates, where you're just there. You know, and it gets busier with kids. He's working, I'm mom, and at some points you are roommates, and it's just you have to work on it. So, but that's even before you're in separate bedrooms. You're just kind of there together. But it's been good since we've done it, and no regrets there. We love it.
Well, I think learning. One of the things is not needing people to act a certain way is a really powerful gift you can give them, right? And so whether that's how you sleep, the temperature you want to have the house at, what time you get up at. Like I've, had like been dating someone and they would wake up to go to work early, and every time I'm like, oh shit, their alarm's going off. Now I'm sitting there for a half hour, I'm losing sleep. And it's a problem. Like you have these different ways of waking up and things like that can definitely affect you.
Yeah, and he needs like 60 grams of melatonin to get to sleep, which is awful. An awful thing, but like I tell him, and it's natural, so you can't really overdose on melatonin, obviously. But I'm like, babe, our needs are just so different, so it ends up working. And I think that's another taboo conversation that people don't have. Mm-hmm. On my TikTok, I've read that people love it. Like they're like, we've done this for years, and I didn't know it was even a thing, really, and now I do. And apparently, it's intriguing to people. That's not something I thought would be, but. Well,
I think when you start to be a little bit vulnerable about certain things, that it's not that big a deal. Like you sleep in separate rooms, but just by being a little vulnerable, because most people would be embarrassed about that, they'd be afraid to be judged about that, and so they don't share it. Well, because you're willing to, all of a sudden, I mean, you've got Good Morning America calling you because they want to talk about it because it's like so taboo to just talk about, and I wonder how many people actually live. Probably more than we even know. But
yeah, or just like it makes you wonder like other things you could talk about that would be
right. So
entertaining.
In my men's group, the three things we try to hit on is vulnerable, authentic, and in integrity. Mm-hmm. Those are the three things I'm always preaching because you're most lovable in those states. Like you're most willing to accept love and give love, and so it's fun to see like stupid things like that that actually like people get so interested in.
I know it shocked me, but I'm like that's something easy to talk about because it's so real. Where the other things I have to be careful what I share or not because you don't want to ruin the fun.
Yeah. But. Well, I have a lot of friends too that they're always like, oh hell, what's Jimmy going to talk about on the podcast? Because I have so many stories, and I usually just leave names out of it unless I know they don't care. You know? But it can be kind of fun. Well, when you go out in public now, I mean, a lot of people, I'm sure. I was at the gym today, literally, and a dude came up, just some guy on the treadmill, and goes, "Hey," he was listening to my podcast today. Yeah. I was like, "Oh, right on, man." So I get it every now and then. It's kind of funny, but I bet you get recognized like all because you have a very easy to remember look as well with your long hair and everything. And so I'm guessing you have a lot of people come up to you, and did they ever ask to be in your TikToks and stuff?
They don't. Online they'll like message me, but in person they just kind of like want pictures, or they like say I love your videos, or they're big. Stefan, that's another big thing, like baby Stefan, and my son looks like a fictional character which like all girls love. So that was a hit on accident again, and so they love him, or they'll
Your
It's
daughter,
weird.
when she does her music or her
Makeup
tutorials, oh my hell. She's so funny.
She's so good.
I gotta be honest, I started watching your TikToks and I'm like, I just want more of the kid. She's hilarious.
Yeah.
She's so funny. And
Oh my gosh.
She's like dabbing it and she's putting it on her lips and just hilarious.
I don't know where she. I mean,
Did you teach her how to do it?
I mean,
She's watched you
she
do it.
watches me do it, but she's so good for being so young. I'm like, I'm no professional. I don't know where you learned. And she, if you like, you can't say that she's not doing it because she's literally doing it in front of the camera. But if I got half the stuff like off camera that she says, she'd be good.
Isn't it crazy we live in a world where like any random person can all of a sudden become
especially on TikTok
famous essentially. Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's nice though. I like the TikTok part where it gives everyone a chance. Where Instagram was so like very specific, bloggy style pictures. You don't really even know the person.
It's really hard now to blow up on Instagram. I mean, it's so hard to grow Instagram. I've been stuck at my number forever, and I have some good shit. Like my TikTok's growing by the day. I'm growing a couple thousand followers every week, and my Instagram's just been still for 2 years.
Same.
Yeah, I think they just do that. They don't.
And I like it makes you not really. At least for me, not motivated. I'm like, it's not. It doesn't matter what I post or do. It's just like it's the same. And I think people are kind of bored of it. Like now that you have TikTok and news, you don't want to be sitting there looking.
That's
at
the thing about
pictures.
TikTok. It's kind of Finkel TikTok. It's funny. So my podcast director here that's sitting here, Dakota, he's the one that does my TikToks, and we'll post something we think is going to go great, and it is like crickets. Nobody gives a crap about it. And then I'll post something. I'm like, I think this will do good. Like I had one. I ran into the royal family out in the Bahamas, Kate Middleton and Prince William.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this should go good. I think people will be interested. And I'm expecting to just do okay. Oh my God, it's almost to 1 million views now, and it has thousands and thousands of comments. I put on there, I said this couple in the Bahamas had over 35 security guards. That's all I said. And so everyone watching, they see who it is, and they're like, this couple, you dumbass, that's the royal family.
See, that's like the good thing your friend was telling you about. You got to play a little dumb so you get kind of destroyed. And that's why you have to have that thick skin because you're like, okay, I know I'm going to get hate for this, but we're doing it.
Yeah.
That's
that
very
was a good
clever.
One. That was a really fun one. But yeah, it's such a Finkel thing. It's like, you just never know what people are going to like.
Yep.
I've put some up and I'm like, I'm so proud of the video, and like nobody watches it. And I'm like, damn, just delete it. I'm putting it on Instagram.
I know. It sucks. The ones you put effort in. I've learned that too. I'm like hours into this idea and doing it and nothing. And then something I took 2 seconds, an accident goes viral. I'm like, it's so unfair really. I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah. People always want advice. Like, how do I go viral on TikTok? And here's what I tell people is, I mean, A, you can sink a houseboat, or B,
yeah.
I was like, if you want people to be interested, you have to be interesting.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I tell them. That's what you do so well. It's like, you're interesting. Like, I sit there and I'm not bored watching your videos. I'm like, this is funny.
That makes me feel better. That or a compulsive liar that people just like to watch. I don't know.
No, people that get it though.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not a liar. It's not in your daily life. You're not out here pretending to be something you're not, right?
Yeah.
It's not a lack of integrity. You're playing a game to win the game, and the game is won by doing it how you're doing it.
Yeah.
And so I mean, anybody that thinks you're 50 is just a dumbass in the first place. But it's funny that like makeup companies and everything were reaching out to you. Yeah.
It was kind of cool. I was like, sweet, I'll take it. Like, I'm not going to argue that
You told me you're 27, where they're just like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, I got invited to go on Dr. Oz.
Oh, because
you want to know my secrets. I was like,
for reals?
Yeah, my management team was like, I mean, she's down, but she's 27 and they're nothing. I'm like, it's a cool opportunity to do.
Have you had a chance to collaborate with any cool people since you kind of got so big?
More like TikTok. I don't know if you're familiar with like the TikTok people, like more of them, but not anyone like famous.
Yeah, more
say.
TikTok famous.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who. I mean, I've had the interview with like the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Oh, there you go.
But I didn't get that.
Oh, you like interviewed to be one of them?
Yeah, they interviewed.
They didn't choose you? Mm-mm. You're not controversial enough. You're not crazy enough.
That's what, producer.
Oh, they're pretty batshit crazy. I had one of them, Whitney, on my podcast. She's rad. I love Whitney.
She's everyone's
the only
favorite.
One that's not crazy. Well, she's the only one that's not a horrible human, frankly. Like, if we're being honest. Like, I wouldn't have any of the other ones on my podcast. Yeah. I watched like 3 episodes because I was prepping for that podcast. As I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, Whitney's the only one. There's one other one that's okay, but like the rest of them are like awful humans. I'm like, I would not want, no thanks. This is a podcast to highlight exceptional people. I
know, and I was like kind of scared. I was like, I don't, like even if I did get it, I would be like, I'm not a mean person. I'm not gonna be mean unless I have to stick up for myself. So I think they probably saw that and they're like, Another producer was like, it was a compliment 'cause she used to produce that. And she's like, it's a compliment that you didn't get it, to be honest. But I was like, thanks, I guess. I don't know.
You're not enough of a shit show. Well, if they really wanted to get like Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, they would get people like you or some of the girls that you're friends with.
Yeah.
In your videos and stuff, because that's more of a real depiction of the Utah housewives, but they're looking for controversy. They're looking for crazy.
Yeah, crazy, which is kind of like entertaining too. I could be crazy if they wanted me to pretend,
Totally. Well, my buddy, Chris Conran, he's one of my closest buddies. And
I love him.
Yeah. So he was on The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
And he, he's just such a nice guy.
He is so
literally
sweet.
the best human. And he didn't make enough noise, so he was just kind of kicked off the first night on that. And then the crazy part was he got on Bachelor in Paradise.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
And he had met a few of the people, like they have you meet ahead of time a little bit. And when he got there on the island, I think it was like the 3rd or 4th week, they made him pick which girl he had to go hang out with. And so he's like, whatever, okay. But then the girl he liked showed up, but he was still like being super respectful. And he was in that room with the other girl. He told me they set him there. They wouldn't let him leave for 4 hours. They basically, without saying it, said, you're not leaving until you guys make out. And they had the other girl waiting outside the door the whole time.
Yeah.
They're just looking for the controversy. I'm like, when they can make Chris Conran look like an asshole, like they've got some power. Because he's 10 times better human than I am. I was like, when you make him look bad, like, no thanks. I'm out on anything.
Yeah, he is so sweet. And so when I saw that episode, I was like, no. And they were so mean to him. I'm like...
Oh, he got destroyed.
He did. It was bugging me through the TV. I'm like... You stand up for yourself right now. And I just know it's TV, so I don't know what he can say.
Me and Travis Prince, my other buddy, we saw that, and we literally said, if we ever see that dude in person, the one that was bullying him on the show, so he's getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Because, like, you don't talk to our buddy like that.
No, no. And so, you only know so much. Like, I didn't know, but we talked to him. I saw him not too long ago, and he was telling us about it. I'm like, that's awful.
So do you want to parlay this into anything else? Are you looking at, like, other opportunities, or has anything come to you since you kind of blew up?
I've had a few... TV show like idea interviews like from LA, and I have one this week, and they're just always like interested in making a TV show out of like what, like I assume Mom Talk,
what you're basically already doing.
I haven't heard back from the ones I've done, and then I have one this weekend, so I think that would be really cool. I'd be open to like the reality TV of it.
Just have your own show where basically just whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool. Right? But that would be cool. And then we have Happy Valley, which is our clothing brand.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. So you just started that pretty recently, right? Yeah,
my husband does all the design for it, and we're in it with our best friends. So that's really cool. But I mostly market it. That's more his like dream fashion, and I just market it for him. But it's done really well so far.
It's a great name.
It makes sense for
if you're from Utah, Happy Valley. Yeah,
and it's in a lot of states, Happy Valley.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that. It's a huge, I think in one state, it's like huge there. They're like, you stole that from us. And I'm like, Happy Valley's in Utah, but sure. But that's been it's been cool. But yeah, the name is interesting. I guess it also means something with drugs. I didn't know.
Oh, I didn't know either. Yeah. Look at us being all naive.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, cool. Well,
it's so funny how many things are related to drugs. Like, have you ever been to Disneyland?
Yeah.
Have you ever been on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride?
I'm sure I have.
Crazy ride. So it's a kid's ride. Yeah. But you go through all these stages of life, and in the end, you go through hell, and it gets all warm. Tell me you don't remember this? Like, it's hard to find. Like, you wouldn't wait in line for this ride.
Yeah, then maybe not.
Yeah, it's next time you go, you got to go just Google Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and it's a total trip. And you're just like, it's this kid's ride, and all of a sudden you're in hell, and the devil's just like, wow, and it's all hot, like it make it fiery and stuff. It's kind of terrifying to a kid, but I found out it's a nickname for like drug, like some drug, like marijuana or something, because it's like this crazy trip that you go on. Yeah. And so they're like, oh yeah, they have some Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I'm like, wait, what? So they can make a name for drugs from anything pretty much.
It's true, and I think Disney actually has a really good sense of humor. I feel like there's been a lot of like low-key bad jokes in Disney shows. You're like, did we just hear that right?
Yeah, you know that they're just sitting there, the production team bored shitless, trying to figure ways to screw with people.
Yeah, and also get like adults, I think, involved. Like they keep watching the show, right? Yeah. It's clever.
I love it. Well, as far as material goes and content, do you sit down and actually plan out what you're going to do, or just kind of when something comes to you? Because I used to do stand-up, and I would just, if I thought of a funny joke, I'd hurry and write it down. But every now and then I'd sit down and have a writing session where I'd come up with content or whatever else. Are you more like sit down and plan it out, or is it more just like as things come to you?
I should do that. That actually is a good idea, but it's very trendy. So things will do well if you follow the trends. So I look at a trend and I think of how I can twist it to my own, because everyone copies everyone on TikTok. I'm sure you've seen.
Yeah.
See the same thing over and over. But yeah, I look at it and then see how I can like twist it. I also with my page, like a lot of things I feel like are original on mine. Like, well, I guess like the haunted thing is something I started. I've seen other people do that. And the age thing, I've seen a lot of people say that they're grandmas now. And so like, I feel like there's things that I've started like, are I guess originally, but I also like take trends and twist it too. So I guess there's a lot of both on my page. But
all right, you listening to Dakota? You got to take some notes here. I told him, I was like, you take notes this whole interview because he does my TikTok and we do every other video will get like 20,000, 50,000 views, 70, so it's good.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, we need to know exactly what she's doing to.
Okay, so you want some TikTok tips?
Yeah, let's get into some TikTok tips. I think it's a great way to end it.
The first 3 seconds are the most important. If they're not intrigued by 3 seconds, they're swiping.
You're done.
I know that from experience, right? It's just like, and I go back later and you're like, this went viral, and you're like, oh shoot, like I didn't even get that a chance, you know? Mm-hmm. So first 3 seconds are very important. Also wording. I have a lot of wording on my like words.
People want to read.
Yeah, okay. That's where you're gonna get their attention. Is like, oh, let's see where this goes. So wording is very important. Or questions, like we talked about, we want engagement. Almost every one of my videos is controversy. Like I said, something that you want to make people argue about, whatever it may be. So arguments. Lighting is very important. I feel like your vibe is probably a lot of in here, right? So like
yeah, we do a lot of them in the studio here.
Yeah, so I feel like either lighting or like aesthetic, I guess, where it all kind of looks, not that it has to, but it looks kind of the same. Like when you see mine, it's usually my stairs. Yeah. So you know that that's like mine. So in here for you, this is yours.
Got it.
So I guess background, but yours is always good lighting because it's really well lit. For me, it's like in my house, I usually do it in front of the window. I notice when I do it in my bathrooms, they don't do well. So like lighting is important. But yeah, I feel like those are the main. Consistency. So I try to, for me, it was 3 times a day when I was growing. Now it's probably like 1 every so often. That
was like when I was building my Instagram, because I did it very intentionally, and I had to post 1 a day, and I would literally go on trips where I'd go to like 7 countries in a week and a half, and I'd have 15 great photos, you know, because you're going to all the coolest places. I made it very intentional because I wanted to build it. I knew the power if I got my Instagram built up, how I could use it later on, you know, for everything else I wanted to do.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Charlie Jordan?
Yeah, so I've had her on the podcast. She's a friend of mine. Yeah.
Oh, I have to go find that. I look up to her. I love her. She's one of my favorite influencers or TikTokers.
She's one that taught me how to use Instagram.
Really?
Yeah, so she was dating my buddy Johnny. He was living with me for a couple months, and so she was staying there most of the time.
Okay.
And so I would just rack her brain. I'm like, Charlie, like, we had this conversation with him. It actually changed my whole life. It was because I still was treating Instagram like a toy. It wasn't back. We forget that nobody knew this was going to become these businesses. And like, I mean, last year I sold my entire coaching program. I opened 50 spots, and I gave myself, you know, a month to sell it. And in 9 hours, I had 145 people apply. I mean, that was crazy. And that was all through just my Instagram. I knew it was going to have this power, but it wasn't until I talked to Charlie. What happened is she was there at my house one time, and she'd done this live video for like a half hour. And I asked her, I go, how much did you get paid for that? Because she was promoting some clothes. She goes, I think it was 45 grand. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, hold on, Charlie. And at the time, she only had 280,000 followers. She hadn't blown up quite like she is now. I mean, she's got tens of millions now.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? And that was what caught my attention. I was like, all right, we got to chat. So she's the one that taught me to go get the good photos, how to take them, the lighting, all those different things. Like it all matters so much.
Yeah.
And so it's funny that you mentioned her specifically because she's blown up on TikTok and everything else too. But people would always be like, well, yeah, she's just hot and she puts her tits in her ass. And I'm like, no. She is a genius. Like there's a lot of hot girls that can't get any traction on their page. Like Charlie was a wizard. Like when I talked to her, and she was 19 at the time, I think.
Yeah.
I was like, how the hell? It was just like, you're either born with that kind of street sense or you're not. Like that girl just knew shit. And I was so intrigued talking to her, and everything she did was so intentional. And then she was like, yeah, I'm going to be a DJ one day. And like,
she is.
I know. And she did all that. And I haven't talked to her in about a year, but I love talking to her just because she's an absolute genius. And so when people probably say all the time to you, like, oh yeah, you guys are just hot girls, and so it's why you blow up. It's like, no. These women that actually go viral, like that know how to blow up their pages, are so freaking smart. And I love talking to you. I love talking to them all because I know the difference between those that know how to do it. And it's just, there's this sense of like being able to read people and understand rooms and be able to maneuver and pivot and all those different things that just, it's very intelligent.
Yeah. No, she isn't. I mean, that's where I get a lot of my tips. Like you're saying, you post it every day. I learned that from her is consistency.
She's the one that taught me that.
So, yep. And I look up to her in so many ways because like you're saying, she's very she's smart and hardworking, but she's also, I've actually never met her, but we've talked over social media a lot. Like I've wanted to meet her so many times. I need to make it happen, but she seems kind though too.
She is genuinely, very genuine, yeah.
Kind, and so I'm like, I love that. She's so confident, kind, and very successful, and especially where she's at now. I assume a lot of those LA people, I've met them, they're not like that. No. It sucks actually, but she's one that stands out to me, always has.
Yeah, the last time I talked to her, she called me. She just ran a 5K or something. She won some contest, and the winner got $10,000 for their charity. And she was calling me because she did it for, I was working with OUR. And so she won 10 grand for OUR. And so I put her in touch with them and everything. She's just always, comes from that space. But, yeah.
She's awesome. Love her. I don't really personally know her, but I've followed her for years and I look up to her. So
that's awesome.
That's where I was like I've learned my tips from her, and so I've taken them, putting them to mine, and so.
Well, it's like that in anything in life, right? Like find somebody that's really good at something you want to do, and just model yourself after them, copy them, and figure out what they're doing. It's not that. I mean, it is that difficult, but it isn't. I always say it's simple. It's not easy because you got to do the work. And people are so afraid to fail. That's one thing I love about you. You're just throwing shit out there. I do the same thing. Like, I throw stuff out all the time.
That's why I like you, and I can relate with that. Some of your podcasts. I'm like, I like this guy a lot. Like,
I'm going to throw my shit out. And if you don't like it, I don't care. Like, I'm doing me. And people that are so afraid, it's like, when I was in high school and in college, I would go talk to every hot girl I saw. It was an automatic. I gave myself 3 seconds. I had to go talk to them because I didn't care if I failed. To me, if they said no, it was the same as if I didn't go. It was a no either way. And so I was like, I might as well, I didn't take it that personal. And so if I could even get 3 out of 10 to say yes, I had a lot of hot dates,
Yeah.
But you've got to be willing to start somewhere. When it starts, my first podcast was the worst thing ever. Like my first Instagrams, I remember putting an Instagram photo up. It was like me dipping Oreos in milk. Like, what the hell was I doing? Like I had some of the worst stuff.
Same.
And some of my TikToks are atrocious. I have one where I was explaining my houseboat sinking story. I want to take it down, but it's got like 100,000 views just because it was piggybacked on that. But it was the worst video. My hair is all blown when I look like I'm a 70-year-old bald guy. And I'm just like, this is the worst video. And I hate myself for it. But I'm like, you know what? Who cares? I'm just trying.
And we've all been there.
I know. And you just fall quickly, fail quickly, and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Well, it's fun. You keep doing your videos. I honestly think it's an important role that you play.
Thank you.
Yeah, if anybody gives you shit, you can send them my way. I'll straighten them up for you.
Jimmy's got my back, guys. We just both 2 people that don't give an F.
Yeah. Well, I had a buddy one time. He was an attraction coach, and he told me the most attractive quality that a human can have is to be unapologetically whoever they are.
Yep.
I thought that was badass.
You also did a podcast on that, correct?
Yeah,
I listened to that one. Yeah, I liked that one.
It was he was a fascinating human. He taught me a lot of things. But so keep doing that. And for people that want to learn more about you, want to follow you, where's the best place to send them?
Probably either Instagram or TikTok. Instagram is definitely more real. I share a lot.
And it's Taylor Frankie Paul.
Yep, on both platforms. Trying to get verified so we can just get all that solidified.
I can help you with that. I got some people that you should be verified anyway.
I would love that. My management's working on it right now.
Okay.
So I hope.
If they can't get it figured out, let me know. I got people that are actually like should be. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are like pretending.
Right. I'll get people calling me. They're like, "Hey, I need to get verified." And I was like, "Well, what do you do?" Like that's.
Yeah, and I have like she's like, "I need links of like something about you." I'm like, I can send you a ton. Is that what it takes? Because I have them, but I would love that. So that's my next goal.
Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we got to do a TikTok together sometime.
Down.
Okay, deal.
Let's do it. I'll learn to dance. You want to do a dance?
I'll do a dance with you. Absolutely. We'll send people. I told you, I'm shameless.
I would love to like feature like some of this though, like on there too. Like
Let's do it.
Our conversation.
Okay, I'll get you the whole thing.
Okay.
All right.
I'm excited.
Take care.
Thank you too.